All right, everyone. It's another Friday, and it's another Q&A with Alan and Marshall. I'm Marshall Atkinson,
I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way.
and welcome to our show. It's another week, and I think it's going to be a really good show today. I can't wait to get in it with you, Alan.
I,
Um,
I'm
but
I'm excited. Yeah, there's some topics that are going to be things we need to look at. We might be talking about a few hard things, and we don't have answers. Marshall does give me stuff we don't always have the answers. So yeah,
right. No, hold on.
yeah,
Did you put this comment in there?
I did. I put that.
Oh, like, how is somebody posting as me?
Well, and so what's going on? We might as well get right into it. So we've had a comment there, starting from someone before we even started the show, and we'll introduce him in a minute. And I was just posted. I typed in there going, he was there early, said, I'm here. I'm waiting and watching your show. And I said, we'll start at the top of the hour. Well, the program we use is under Marshall's name. And so when I typed the response, and it came under Marshall's name as the response. So
That's crazy. That's fun.
yeah.
And I was like, I saw we had some comments. So I'm like, wait a minute. I know I didn't write that.
Yeah. So we're waiting to see who comes on. I'm not sure where everybody's there. There's Richard. He's right there.
Oh, everybody will join in a minute. I'm not worried about it. And as we both know, most people watch later anyway, right? So.
Oh yeah. So again, we want to say welcome to the show. This is Q&A with Alan and Marshall. Thank you for tuning in. And Marshall, did you get the first one?
Yeah.
So they were great. So thank you so much, because it is 12 midnight there.
Yeah.
And we'll introduce him in a minute. But man, if you are watching this, thank you. This is a live broadcast. But most of our viewers watch it on the rebroadcast.
Easy for you.
And exactly. But thank you for tuning in live. So we want to say hi, like we do, to Richard Greaves, who we know, industry guru and expert. I had a great conversation with Richard this week on a couple items.
Yeah.
But Gray is here. He was there waiting and watching the show. And Gray owns Cran Lab in Cebu City, Philippines. And I actually visited there. He let me tour his shop. I took some video. I have not shown it on this show yet, but I will. But Gray is the one, Marshall. We were talking about my trip of what's done over there, and I told you I was surprised how much sublimation is done. Gray is the one where they have an Epson SureColor sublimation printer. They were printing out. He was doing jerseys. They were cutting it. He has maybe 4 or 5 sewing machines of people on them, and he was actually doing a job from China.
That's great.
And so, Gray, thank you very much for watching. If you're still there, on YouTube. And again, we barged into his shop. He let us do that.
Did he know you were coming, or you just show up?
He did not. I showed up. And of course, like every Filipino, just gracious as can be.
Right.
So he screen prints. He does sublimation. They do a little bit of everything. So yeah,
that's good. So Charles was here. Say, Charles, how you doing?
From New Mexico. Yep. Yeah.
So anyway, so if you're watching, we would love it if you would comment and share that you're watching and all that kind of stuff. Also, especially if you're watching at recording, just drop us a comment. Let us know that you watched it later. Also, this is a Q&A show. We really need your comments. We need your questions. It can't just be Alan and I just ranting and raving. The show really works better when we have engagement, which means ideas and comments and questions and suggestions from you, right? So yes. Feel free to use that keyboard and throw something in there. And of course, we've got topics that we want to talk about, but we don't necessarily need to talk about them. If you've got something that you feel is something that we should be kind of addressing, throw it in there and let us tackle that. So anyway, you ready for the first thing?
Sure, let's go.
Do you remember what it was?
No, I didn't write any of them down. We got busy in a more off-topic discussion.
All right. So marketing and sales planning is the first one I want to talk about. And the reason I want to do this is because for the last, I don't know, month or so, right? I've been talking with a lot of shops, and I think folks, they get into this roller coaster, right? They're busy, then they're not busy, then they're busy again, that type of stuff, right? And then what happens a lot of times, especially when they're busy, is they quit selling. They quit doing marketing. They quit doing anything that's going to bring in business because they're too busy, right? And you know, it's not good or bad or anything. It's just the way it is, right? And so what I want to kind of discuss today, right, is building more of a marketing and a sales engine so you can do things where you're bringing in work all of the time. You're identifying new customers. You're engaging older customers. You're doing the work that you need to do to bring in sales even when you're busy.
Right.
And what we really want to be doing is also looking at the type of work that we're bringing in, because you could be really super busy and not making any money, right?
Yeah.
Or not making the money that you could because you said yes to some turkey of a job, right? Just because we needed the work. And then something else comes in and now you're stuck, right? So I think, you know, a good chunk of the work here has to be about proactively hunting for customers, proactively building out marketing assets. So this is a series of social media posts. This could be a video that you send. This could be a webinar. This could be a lot of different things, right? This could be you exhibiting at a trade show or going to a Chamber of Commerce thing and setting up a table, or sponsoring the par 3 at the golf tournament for your customers association, whatever, right? You need to be thinking about this stuff all the time, because if you wait until the last minute, chances are you're not going to do something, or it's going to be kind of half-assed. Okay. So I want you to really kind of think about, you know, what are we doing? So right now, it's practically July. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, June's over, right? And so your brain right now needs to be probably August, September. That's where your brain should be. Not really July. July stuff should have been planned back in May.
Yeah.
Okay? So we need to be like 2 months out, right? With our marketing planning. What's going on? What's going on with your customers? What's going on in your city? How can you participate? How can you get ahead of things and build a list, build a checklist, I want to create 6 videos. I want to do these social posts. I want to do this stuff. So you can start creating the assets, and you can start scheduling this stuff to go to customers as part of a drip marketing, or to post on social media, or you're going to send stuff out like it just as a postcard, and you're going to follow up with a phone call. Whatever you're going to do,
yep,
you need to plan it a couple, 2 months in advance or so, right? And this is going to help you get more customers and everything, because when you proactively do the work and you're consistent about it and you're doing it all the time, it's just part of your day, you're going to be landing more sales than if you wait for the phone to ring or the order to come in on your website, right? I'm a big believer in this, because I know that the people that I talk to that are doing this, they're having their best year ever. Okay. The best year ever. And I know a lot of shops out there aren't, right? And so what separates them from these folks really is the targeted work going after their ideal customer with a sales engine or sales funnel, if you will, that's bringing in the work for them. And this is what really works. And how do I know this? It's because I talk to 8 gazillion people. Okay.
Yeah,
I talk to people all the time about it, and this is what they tell me.
Yeah.
Okay. Does it always work? No, it doesn't always work. Okay. It doesn't always work. But the consistency of showing up, of getting that top of mind, of doing these things, that's what makes the difference. Okay. That's what makes the difference. What do you think about this, Mr. Howe?
Well, there's a couple things on it. I like what Brian Buffka just posted too.
Happy last Friday in June, and then niche and market. Exactly. Your ideal customer.
Right. So one, you got
to bands and choirs and high school music, marching bands and stuff. That's a pretty detailed niche right there.
It is. Everybody wants the sports and go to the sports director at high school. It's like, man, there's no money there. Go to the band. That's who controls the school. That theater, that drama group, that all that, they print more shirts for every production and great ones. But Marshall, 100%. It is all about sales planning. And I'm the same way. I see customers that are busy and doing well, and they're the ones that keep hunting. And you have to keep hunting. You're always at events, and it's contacts. You're a consultant. It's contacts.
Yeah.
That's hunting. I had a cancellation out of town yesterday. The one appointment where I scheduled that day trip around, gone. I spent the whole day, and it was all either cold calls or who haven't I called on before?
Where were you?
I was in Canton, Ohio. I stayed the night in New Philadelphia. I was up in Canton, Akron, and all that. And I used to cover that area. So I went from Canton to Twinsburg to there. And I had people I know, but I haven't seen them in a while, and they're not really buying a lot. So yeah, that's where I went to and did. One was a customer that contacted us. He was using our product, some things. So I stopped by, did a courtesy call. I've never met him before, and did that. But then it was a graphic shop. Then I'm up there at another couple textiles, then another graphic shop. And you know what? Sometimes it's the right person's not there. Sometimes it's not there, but I'm making the most of it. Got a pretty good opportunity coming up out of one of the larger ones there.
And that's because you showed up and did it. It was an unplanned thing. You didn't take no for an answer, and you made the effort, right?
Yep, 100%. And so this guy, I knew him when his dad started the company. I've known him since 1987. I knew he was there. Well, his dad's now retired. He's in charge. And we just got talking and ended up being on a cold call of sitting in his office for over an hour, talking screen stuff, talking print stuff, but also talking life, made that connection on some things. And I'm excited about the opportunity. I really want to work with him. It's going to be, I think, a good thing.
That's great. That's great.
And you got to keep hunting and doing that, no matter what the economy is. We have a tendency in sales when things are good to lean back. And when things are bad, we hustle. And you got to keep hustling all the time. Yeah. We were talking about Gray is here from Cebu City. When I was there, it was a cold call basically, and he showed me everything. Did he have the time? No, he was getting ready, Marshall, for an event. In fact, we took a picture in front of his booth getting ready for an event the next day, like a big chamber thing or citywide thing, and their stuff together. No matter where you're at in the world, you're focusing on those things.
Yeah, right. So what's the phrase I use all the time, Alan? Can you remember?
There's so many of them.
You must be present to win.
Must be present to win. Yeah, it's that one or Alan. What would I do without you? You say a lot. Okay. So no,
I do say, Alan, what would I do without you? I do say that.
No. Yeah, you got to be present to win. If you're waiting for the phone call, and I was at a shop, guy goes, no, I've been busy. I never make a sales call and stuff. And I'm thinking, you'll be gone in a couple of years.
Yeah. It's this industry is really competitive, and you need to be first in line. You need to have top of mind. You need to go out there and hustle. And here's the other thing I think a lot of people forget is you need to be different. Different gets you noticed. When you're the same as everybody else, you're invisible, man. Right? So what are you doing that's different that's going to get you noticed? And so this is how you show up. This is your personality, and there's tons of examples of that, but I want to take, Tom Rowan as an example.
Oh yeah.
So he shows, how does that guy show up, right? So he has no problem running a 5K race dressed as Uncle Sam or Ron Burgundy, right? He does stuff all the time. He does videos. He's constantly posting on social media. He shows up a lot of stuff. He sponsors local community things like his mac and cheese festival, right?
Yep.
He's doing things out there to get noticed, to be of the community where like people know him. And one of the really great things about doing stuff like this is that before you show up, you're already there.
And the thing about Tom is that Mac and Cheese Fest started as a labor of love of something he was passionate about.
Yeah, he's raising money for a charity, juvenile diabetes.
Yep, exactly. And he goes to things. I saw he's going to a thing for Ronald McDonald House because that was important to him.
Right.
Yeah. His life. And he will be present at this event. Tom is present everywhere.
Yeah. So here's the thing. He's not, well, he has printed. I've been on tons of calls with him where he's running the press while he's on the phone. But he's got people who does stuff. He does the things when he needs to do it. But if he has the ability to not be in the shop, he's out doing stuff, right? He probably would rather not be there, right? David Slagle is another guy that's just like that, right? Yep. He would rather be doing customer stuff and whatever than be in his office. He wants to automate everything, right? So he doesn't have to work as hard because he can drive things, right? So I think it's really important, right, that you have a staff that can do things for you. I'm a solopreneur. It's just me. I'm a consultant. But, I have 2 VAs that do stuff for me, right? So I can do stuff like this because I have time for it, right? I think it's really important that people find the time to proactively plan their marketing, proactively plan their sales. So they think, okay, next month, 2 months from now, who are we going to call on, right? Yep. And here's a list of 10 or 20 companies that we want. They fit our ideal parameter as a business. Look, they do the research, they figure out who they want to talk to, and then they start the sales process of following them on social media and sending them something in the mail and DMing them and cold calling and doing the thing. If they've got a process, it's just a matter of getting the new people into the thing, getting the new people into their drip marketing, getting this going. So then it's just rinse and repeat, right? The thing here, though, is I think not everyone, but a huge chunk of this our industry, right, is more reactionary than proactive, right? They're waiting for the order to hit the website or for the phone to ring or get the email or the PO gets sent in or whatever.
Right.
They're not out doing stuff. And so when you talk to shops, right, and you go, hey, how's sales? And they go, oh, we're so slow, blah, 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 right? I'm sure you've asked the question. I ask the question all the time. Oh, so tell me about your sales calls yesterday. What did you do? Oh, we didn't do any.
Yeah.
Well, why are you slow, right? Go figure, right? So anyway, so if you're watching right now, what are you guys doing that's proactively bringing in work for you? How do you plan your marketing? How do you look ahead and forecast August and September? I need to be at this thing, or I need to send a thing out, or here are 6 new customers that I need to target and start working with, right? How are you guys doing that? If you wouldn't mind, throw some comments in there. We'd love to hear that, right?
Marshall, one other thing too, when we're talking about yourself, Tom Rowan and stuff like that, David Slagle, guys there, we always say too, you got to be working on your business, not in your business. And sometimes we get involved where they're not afraid to jump in and do stuff. But when you start working in your business, when you're on top, that business ends up enveloping you. And the other reason that Tom does what he does, he has people. Davis likes automation. He has people. You have VAs, is because also part of that is you guys have a family. And man, you've got to make time for that. Tom does for his kids, his wife, and all that. And if you don't, man, that business will run you 24/7.
Yeah. You gotta have some guardrails.
Yeah, so you got to plan and do that.
See this thing? Around 6:30 every day, it's on my charger, and I don't pick it up until the morning, right?
I think the other thing too, we're talking about marketing and sales planning. Well, Brian is correct on you have to have your niche and your market, but you also have to be willing to change on there. So this account I was talking to used to do perfect, 100%, Brian. Way to be present. And it's not just being there, like you said, there's follow-up afterwards. You better have a plan for that. But you know what? You got to be ready to pivot and I hate we can use the word pivot now.
I thought that was a forbidden word here.
Well, it was during COVID and after we refused to say it, but you got, or how about this? You need to be able to be a little bit fluid.
Oh, fluid.
Here's why. Because you know what? You know what's fluid? What shape is fluid? What shape is water? Whatever the container is on it. So is that good?
Yeah.
So you need to be a little bit fluid. If that market, if there's something wrong and it becomes unprofitable, you better be able to make those adjustments. This account I went to, they were always known in the music industry, rock and roll. He says they only do about 4 different ones now. He's doing a huge, huge run for AT&T? Something like that, but just a monster run. So, they become fluid in who they're looking at.
Right. That's good.
Going after. So, yeah.
So, Alan, you plan your sales, right? You've told me a million times, I'm going here, I've got a route, I'm planning whatever. And then when stuff happens, you pivot, right? Or you adjust, right? So like, are you using tools, a calendar, a spreadsheet, some software? What do you use to plan out what you're doing?
We have a new CRM at work that we use that's there. And then I have an Outlook calendar that I'm putting stuff on. So, we have to, part of our deal, and especially most companies, they want to know. It's one thing when you have salespeople out and that you never see them. If people ask me what it's like at Easy Way Corporate, I haven't been there since 2003.
Yeah.
I don't need to go. Like, what's it like in manufacturing? Well, it's a big bunch of silver vets. It's pretty underwhelming.
Right.
Same thing emulsion companies when I worked there. We do a lot of video conferencing and stuff, but you know what? We got to have calendars filled out. They just don't want to, you just can't wake up Monday going, I really need to be doing something. I know next week is a weird week because of the 4th of July. I know on Tuesday where I'm going to be with my boss. We have a test with a company on Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock. In fact, that time just changed. I just changed it this morning. He's already accepted it, and we know what we're doing on it.
Good.
Next week I am flying out Monday morning and flying back at the end of the week, working with a dealer rep on there. I have a trial on some stuff. I got to get samples, so I have stuff I have to do after this, and you got to keep planning on it.
Right.
I make little notes of what I'm, who I need to and where do I need to be fluid at. I need to go after this market, this place. Yeah. And I write all the notes and I can think about it. But until I put it on my calendar or my to-do list, it's not getting done.
Do you use a calendar on your computer, Alan, or like a written, like I have this thing, right? A written calendar, right? And I make notes. What I use this for is each day, these are the things I need to do before the end of the day. As things are popping up, I got an email, I got to send a thing. I do that.
So this is a notebook. This is one of actually my favorites. It's almost empty. It's an old SGI one. But that's where I'm writing what I need to do.
Yeah.
When I write down, my calendar is Outlook, so it's on my computer and my phone. I can do stuff.
Yeah, appointments and stuff are on my. I use a Google guy, so I have a Gmail Google calendar, right? And that's how I run my whole day, right? But the tasks of I need to do stuff. That's what
those I handwrite. I'm not a put the task on there. Now we do on our CRM, we do have a thing where it's task where I can put notes in. I can say, hey, I have a task for, usually it's the office, but they'll go through on, when I request a sample be sent, then the task will come up. They'll put a task on there and for me to follow up. And that's real good at quote to follow up. Hey, where are we at with this and stuff like that. Good. Sometimes the tasks get underwhelming and it's almost not, but I'd rather have too many than not enough.
Okay.
To follow on. But right. Yeah, we are, and to say that an easy way we're 100% automated like that, this is we just got it this year. And so far it's not doing too bad.
Yeah.
I'm not, put it this way, I'm not hating it.
Yeah. So, all right, you ready for the next topic?
Sure.
So, Brian's on here, which is good because he shared in Shirt Lab Tribe this really awesome webinar that that Rock and ThreadX did at the Colorado ThreadX earlier this year, and I would like every single person in this industry to watch this video. And so it was really great. Ryan and Brian right here are just really introducing it, but they have an economist. His name's Alex something or other. I can't remember his last name, but he goes through the economy and where it's going, and it's completely neutral politically, so don't think anything. And what's really interesting is he's pulling data from neutral sources, and he does a really great job of showing what's going on. And then he takes macro data from Printavo, which is like total sales for the whole industry with their 3,000 users or whatever it is, and he lines it up on a graph. And it's amazing that it completely follows the same curves, right? And then let me show you. Here's the link, and if you want to copy that, right? But anyway, so it's just an amazing video, and what I really love about it is what they're doing is they're projecting where the economy is going, and like we've been in a dip this year, right? And he shows all that. And then what he also shows is that we're trending up, right? So one of the interesting things that they were talking about was, major purchases have been down, equipment. I'm sure Brian and both Ryan are, concerned about that, right? But what's happening is that it looks like a lot of people are beginning to order again and everything. And they talk about supply chain stuff. They talk about the labor market. They talk about, hiring and where unemployment is and the stock market and all that. We have a strong economy. We have a really great unemployment rate, and that's presented some challenges because, it's hard to hire people when they're everybody's got a job, right? And so that puts a lot of pressure on, you need to pay people more or have more benefits or whatever you're doing, right? And so it's a really great video, and I think it's a really neutral in tone. And I think if you were to watch the video, I want you to think about that. And a really cool exercise for you to do would be to compare your own sales data, right, to what's going on with the sales data presented in this video, and see if it matches up, right? And does it do the same curve, right? I think that would be a really cool experiment. Mm-hmm. And you could maybe gain some insight that you normally wouldn't have because of this, right? And so Ryan was talking about how they wanted to keep this guy, coming back, over the next couple of years, and just have these data updated every once in a while, right? And I really like that they're doing that, and I want to, by the way, give them some kudos here for doing something that I think is really needed in this industry, is talking about the economy and comparing that to sales, and really having people do some things where we can say, okay, that makes sense. That's going to help me with my planning in the next 6 months, right?
Yeah.
I know, Alan, you haven't watched this video, but you know, and
It's come across my eyes. I just have not had the time to watch it.
yeah. So it's the name of it
I really
is
like Brian Richardson from Rock. He's a good guy. I know Brian.
So the name of the video is "Where is the Economy Headed? Planning the Second Half of 2024." I shared this in the Shirt Lab Tribe group the other day, and on Facebook, and Brian Buffka shared it in our circle thing. And then he did a comment, seeing how some individual companies were ahead or behind the curve was eye-opening to me. Yes, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And see what was trending and what's not trending and what are they doing. And, there's just a lot of really interesting thing here. And here's another lesson is people are able to do this because they are measuring, because they have the data, right? And I know a lot of people don't use data. They don't track data. They don't look at data because it's hard to do data. It's a math test that you got to do all the time. And who the hell wants to do that? Well, here's the reason why is because when you have this data, then you can start making sense out of it and make better decisions. And this just isn't for sales. This is also in production and whatever your biggest problem is, you can start looking at the data to kind of make, where are we on stuff, right? And especially with sales, right? And
100%.
Yeah. So the reason I'm bringing this up is I really think that, as an industry, we need more data, and the more that we can do stuff like this, I think it's the better, right? And if we can have more information that's freely shared, I think that's just a fantastic thing. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I'm so glad, and I'm going to throw a little shade at someone right now that they did that, because all I'm thinking about is that when ThreadX was run by a different organization, I was on the committee that helped start ThreadX, and I brought up an economist to come in, found him and stuff.
Really?
To my uncle. The company that used to run it didn't want to pay the money to bring him in.
Okay. Well, because it's just they didn't see value. I mean, why?
They just didn't want to spend that much money.
Yeah.
Because I was asking, a couple $1,000.
Yeah. Well, you got to pay people what they're worth, man.
Yep. And so I'm so glad that they did this. And yeah.
Yeah. So,
but this was a top line economist, and yeah. So
if you haven't watched this video, I encourage you to do it. But seeing how it's an hour video, we're not going to play it here, right?
No.
But
yeah.
So my question right now, right, is, are you tracking this stuff in your business? Are you looking at your own data, right? What are you measuring? Isn't that the bottom of every Richard Greaves email? What are you measuring, right? Or is it what are you reading, right?
What are you reading? But the question he always says is, how are you measuring that?
Yeah, how are you measuring? What are you measuring, right? So I think this is something that could really help the industry if we start really looking at our KPIs, start looking. And what would be really cool is if there was everybody was looking at things the same way, so we could compare our shop to the average. Does that make sense? Here's where we are. Here's what's going on. What is the average? Are we below or above that? Are we at the head of the curve or behind the curve? What's going on, right? Mm-hmm. And then for people who seem to be doing better, what's the next question? Obviously is, what are they doing? Right?
Yeah.
What are they doing, right? That's got them in that position. And so this is really super important stuff. So I'm just going to throw out that challenge out there to take an hour and watch this video, right? That's the first. If you don't do anything else, do that, right? And then think about your own data and your access to it. And do you even look at it? What are you doing with it, or whatever? And I think it's super important, So, and let me tell you, I talk to shops a lot, especially people who, they've got some issues. That's kind of where I come in. And one of the things I ask them is, what was your gross profit? What was your net profit last year? Right. And you'd be shocked at how many people can't answer that question.
Yeah.
And the reason they can't answer it is because they're not tracking any of this stuff. Right. And so I'm just, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're a bad business person or whatever. It just means that you need to get that going. Right. So, and so I just kind of challenge them on that a little bit. Right.
Well, and the thing about working with the economists and watching this is when you can see where the trends are going and where it's going, cycling up, you can also, economists have a way of looking into the future a little bit of going, okay, here's what could happen. If this happens, here's what happens here. If this happens, here's what happens here. So it's a little bit of look ahead.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do if you don't.
And what the economist Alex was talking about is there is some publicly available data that you could follow. Right. And then you can see where things are going. And this is stuff that anybody has access to. It's on the internet. It's not like you got to pay for it. It's just sitting right there for you to look at. Mm-hmm. Right. And he shows you where he gets it from. Right. And so I think if you're trying to, DIY this at home and compare to your own sales, I think this might be an easy way, or I don't know, easy, but it would be a way for you to kind of look at this stuff and just see where you are and compare, right? And as a business person, this is going to help you make better decisions.
Yep, absolutely.
Do I need to buy equipment? Do I need to hire people? Where am I on my sales? What is just compare just what everything else is. Right?
And it might be, do I need to buy equipment? Do I need to do it now? Or should I do it now or should I do it later?
Right. Yeah. Right. So anyway, I just thought that was really great. And huge kudos to the folks that paid for that study. And that's just fantastic. And I love it. Love it.
Keyword, the kudos, because that study doesn't come for free. Those people work. They're just like us. They, times for not free.
Well, this Alex guy, you can tell he knows what he's talking about. Yeah. Right. And, all right. Next topic. I think this is going to be a great one, right?
Well, yeah, it's going to be different.
Impact of DTF. And here, I don't think we're talking about production. What are we talking about, Mr. Howe?
Well, I think impact, there's a couple things on there. When I think of impact, is impact on the market. And, for me on there and what different markets is it impacting as far as maybe different processes. There is an impact on the screen market, on there. There's an impact on sustainability too. And I think something that, I don't know that you and I have solutions, but maybe we just need to be aware of. And so there's a lot. It doesn't mean it's a bad solution. It's just sometimes we just can't when, everything is not always unicorns and rainbows, when it comes down with a new thing. And we after almost 40 years in this industry, we are an industry where something new comes on. It is like, voila, it's unicorns and rainbows and champagne's falling from heaven and it's great. Okay, maybe it's not that great. And maybe it's this. And maybe it needs to be, it was the first start of it and going on there. We get a little overly excited and stuff. But then sometimes, okay, there's always a different sides of stuff. And we just have to look at that. And it doesn't always mean it's a negative. It just is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so we were talking before the show started, and one of the things that DTF, right, there is an Achilles heel that nobody's really talking about, which is the leftover film. Yeah. So when you got that great transfer, it looks awesome. The shirt looks fantastic. When you hot peel that piece of film right off that shirt, what are you doing with the film? It goes right in the trash, right? So think about how much more material is going to our landfill that it's not being recycled, and I think it's a challenge, right? That somebody smarter than me, right? And there's probably lots of people smarter than me, but somebody needs to step up and figure out, can we make this film so it can be recycled?
Where is Jeff McHugh when we need him? And Marshall, I feel like you and I, we blew the top off of the DTF when it first came out on the powder, that it is a hazardous substance. That stuff was flying around. I didn't know that.
Still flying around, right?
And the thing is, let's give where credit's due. You and I didn't know that. We learned this. I first learned about it at an academy meeting. Me and Richard Greaves were sitting there with Dr. Ray Work, who was just inducted in, and he was like, he's an extremely smart guy, and he's telling us, and we're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And so now the good thing is that I'm seeing machines are all usually covered. What I'm told though is that they go, yeah, but there's still powder flying around, because when they empty them or those covers are off, when they empty them, nobody's wearing masks and stuff. And I'm afraid that's going to be a health hazard down the road.
Right.
From there. I don't know the solution. I don't know the solution of tons and tons of film. And you know what? I'm not throwing shade at DTF over screen, because inkjet film is not recyclable either. The difference is, and it's, you just got to make the correlation, is that there's one piece of film per screen. And now we have direct to screen too. And now, but with DTF, it's whether it's a left chest or whatever, man, there's a foot of film there.
Yeah, and I think sooner or later something's going to shake out, right?
Well, it's going to have to, I hope, Marshall. But you brought up a point we were talking, going, decal stickers that are printed, it used to be screen and digital. The backing off that, I guess that's not, recyclable.
Well, think about, you're shipping boxes every day with your Zebra label printer. That waxy paper is going right in the trash. We're not recycling any of this stuff, right?
Yep.
And how many stickers are we, sticker mule? How many sticker mule stickers are they print a day, right? All the backing of that's going right. There's a lot of stuff that's going to landfill, right?
Yes, maybe I'm becoming softer in my older age. I've always been, in my younger years, I hunted, I fished. I don't consider myself a very progressive person, but I do recycle, try to do my part here. And it's called, for me, you know what it is? It's called responsibility. I want clean water. I want the forests protected.
Yeah, right.
I'm not against anti-hunting. I'm against slot. I like slot limits for fishing. I like stay by the rules, be responsible with what we've been given.
Well, we should be stewards of the planet, right?
Exactly.
And I think
that's the keyword, steward.
It's okay to fish and hunt, because that's how we keep population under control.
Well,
whatever.
But then too, I brought this up before, I love this industry. It gave me a great career, but we are far from a clean industry.
Oh, we're the second worst. The fashion industry, which we belong to, is number 2.
Yeah. And what's number 1? Oil?
We're number 2.
Which would be what?
Huh?
A plasticell ink?
Well, no, just the petroleum industry.
Right.
Just that whole thing, right? That's number 1, right? So we're number 2, and a lot of it is fast fashion stuff where, we make more garments than anybody could possibly wear, and most of those end up in the landfill, right? And there's I forget where it is, but somewhere in Africa or somewhere, there's a pile of clothing that you could see from space that's so huge, right? And that's where a lot of this stuff goes, right? And when it's on sale and doesn't sell, and it's discounted, eventually they just chuck it, right? And so the promise of print on demand, the promise of this stuff is that you're only making the shirts when somebody buys it. So you're not selling, printing a whole bunch of shirts and hopefully somebody will buy it. And then, so that's the promise of it, right? Which is a really good thing, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's perfect. I think it's got a little, there's an Achilles heel, like I mentioned, right? So, if some smarter folks address this and start doing some things, I think it could really make a great impact. Right?
I hope it does. And we, you and I, we're very famous for a very small, very small podcast. But you know what, Marshall, we at least have some voice in this industry. It's a very small Horton Hears a Who voice. And not saying we're all that, but I want us to have the voice and everybody to be thinking about it. On the garments, I'm still with. I still would love to see hemp be a crop where hemp is used to make clothing here in the States. Now, Marshall, you and I and some of the people on here, Richard remembers, I remember early in my career when shirts were made. There were mills in the Carolinas and shirts were made all down there. That could happen again. It's not going to be with cotton. It would be with hemp, which is just an incredible crop. And yeah. So
Brian says that they give the release liner from vinyl laminates to schools to use as drop cloths for students painting. It's water repellent on one side. That's great.
You're amazing. I love that, Brian. That makes me smile.
So the 3 R's of sustainability, reduce, reuse, recycle. Right? Yeah. So that's great. Reuse right there. That's fantastic. Love it.
I always like, my little part when I go to the grocery store, paper or plastic. I want a little bit of both. I reuse the plastic. I keep the paper bags because that's what I put there. And so stuff for recycling goes in there because those bags are recyclable. I just put them all in recycling.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
Do you have your own bags you bring?
I don't do that. I do have some, and I have brought them.
Right.
But yeah. And I think, there's a lot of impact on there, and not just us, but worldwide. I know even in Asia, they're doing more in the Philippines. It's cleaner. I've been there since 1993, and there was some stuff I'm going, oh my Lord. I'm seeing there's a lot more of let's get it cleaned up. Let's keep doing it. They're becoming a little bit more cognizant on the plastic and stuff. So it's good. We are not alone, but it needs to start somewhere. So, man, talk to the shirt people. Let's get a conversation. I don't know what the solution is.
Yeah, right.
DTF impact. Okay, let's flip thing on there. What are the other impacts of DTF, you think?
Well, the other impact, I think, is on the equipment, right? And, manual presses, I don't think anybody's buying those right now.
They're not. Yeah.
Everybody's going to DTF. And I think, the other thing that we're seeing, I think, is everybody and their brother is now a DTF supplier. And so, and that's a good and bad thing. So why is it good and bad? It's good because you got a lot of options in your neighborhood wherever you live, right? But it's bad in the fact that not everybody is quality control focused. And I think what's happening is you're seeing a lot of pushback on DTF because of inferior product going out, and then it's labeled as DTF sucks. And I tell you, I have felt DTF prints that you can't tell it from screen printing. I mean, it's amazing, right? The people that know what they're doing are making great things, right? And then, of course, it's the supplies they're using, right? It's the ink system they're using. It's the print head they're using. It's the film. It's just the quality and care they're putting into it. That's going to, and of course, it's the grain of the powder, the adhesive. The finer grain makes the hand feel better, right? But that's more expensive, right? So it's a formula how you bake the cake, right? And so if you're using the right thing, it's a good deal. And I also came across this video, and I want to share that. So this is Stalls. This is my buddy Dave, right? And he's got a great video out called How to Halftone DTF Artwork, right? And ignore the bootleg oversized print thing. But this is about a 20, 30-minute video, and it shows in Photoshop how to create chunky halftones and do some things. I wonder if I can just fast forward to a picture so I can show you what I'm talking about. So he's showing how to do this in Photoshop, right? And can I get to the final print? Oh, here you go. Here's a close up, right? So what this does is, see the green dots right here, right? That's what we're printing, okay? The black area is the shirt. And you see how we've got the gradation right here, okay? This is how this is fading off into the shirt. And of course, this is a close up here, right? But what's really great about this technique is that it really helps you have a softer hand using DTF. This is on the Stalls Transfer Express YouTube channel. It's called How to Halftone DTF Artwork for Bootleg and Oversized T-shirts. I highly recommend it. I watched this the other day. Of course, I know the guy, and he sent it to me, right? But this is a technique that is pretty easy to do, and he walks you through how to do it.
Right.
Okay. You don't have to be a Photoshop guru to do this thing. It's pretty easy, right? So if you're doing DTF and you are concerned with how it feels like a piece of cardboard stuck to a shirt, I would try this technique to see if it could help you. And I think you'll have really good results. So there you go. I just want to kind of throw that out there, right? Go back.
So yeah, we have some questions on DTF.
Okay, so
it's a question for you. The other one is a little disturbing.
Yeah. You mean this one? You should talk about this on your podcast episode.
That one I ignore Brian Bufka.
So who are your favorite DTF suppliers? You mean suppliers or equipment people?
Or you're talking about to purchase printed DTF already?
Well, the DTF machines, like, I don't use one. I don't have any skin in the game. I talk to lots of folks. The ones that people don't have problems with, the M&R Quattro, the one that Equipment Zone sells, and then there's a Mamaki one that everybody seems to be using.
I hear the Mamaki one is right now going head and shoulders over everybody else.
So there's like 3 or 4 machines. There's an Epson one, I think, that a lot of people are using them. They're not having challenges.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's really because of the companies that do this. Why? They've got a good training. They've got good warranty. And they've got a supply chain that's set up for them, right? I know a lot of folks buy from whoever sells M&R. People are buying from DTF Superstore here in Phoenix, and then they're also buying through Equipment Zone. I'm sure Jay would happily sell you anything, right?
Yeah. On those, Marshall, also remember, while the machine might be good, I know one of those suppliers you talked about, I'm not going to say who, I've heard is from some other people. They're having some issues with their film.
Okay. Right. Well,
so
a lot of the supplies,
it's a machine than ink and film. And
yeah. Well, a lot of times these supplies, they all come from China, right? And so, but I do know that some of the higher, the people who do higher quality DTS, they're using DuPont ink. Right? They're trying to get higher level craftsmanship by using the right tools, right? So,
yeah. And we've got to get out. These machine companies are going to want you to always use their ink and say, that's it, it's the warranty. You got to get away from that and try different films, try the inks, find out what gives you the best hand, find out what does that do your testing.
So John says, I heard people they're getting cancer from DTF powder, whether that's true or not. I'm glad I stay away. I saw that guy's video, and I don't know how valid that is, especially since the guy's covered in powder. And, if you're rolling around in a product, you might have an issue, right?
Yeah.
I know that the adhesive, this is an adhesive powder, it's been tested. There's Okitex stuff. There's all types of stuff in it where they're testing this stuff. Like anything, if you don't use it right, you're going to have an issue, right? Yeah. Also, I would highly recommend using a respirator when you're changing out your powder anyway, because who wants to inhale glue? Not me.
100%. Yeah, it is. I don't know. Like, I haven't seen that video, John, either. Would it surprise me? No. But you know what? There are a lot of things that can be cancer causing in huge amounts. You know, lab rats are susceptible to cancer all the time. But you have to use it correctly.
Yeah.
Anything, whether it's a screen printing ink, a chemical, or something like that. You know, and if people are going to be stupid about it, there's going to be issues.
What is it? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Correct. Yeah.
So hey, Hurley's here. Charles says DTF supplier like Stahl's Supercolor. Who are you finding it has the best hand? You know, I like both. Also, I want to throw, Stahl's, I think, has great product. Supercolor has phenomenal product. Howard Transfers has great product also. It's hard to gauge the fingertip test who's got the best one. Is there a rating scale on that? I don't know, right? And I like them all, right? The ones that I think that, to me, do your own taste test. Take the same file, send it to multiple people, and get your tests back, and then try it yourself. That's what I would recommend, right? Gray says, software we could use like software for everything, like workflow from PO to finished projects.
Marshall, this is your area more than mine. You more than I do.
Workflow from PO to finished project. So you want a shop operating system? They're like, I don't know what would be compatible in the Philippines. So
computers, either Mac or PC.
Probably Deco Network. I would recommend that because that's based in Australia. It's more of an international thing. That may be something I would look at.
I would agree. Do we have their contact information? Where we can
Zach, let me find his stuff in a minute, right?
Yeah.
So Brian says, we have separated the artwork as if we were screen printing the artwork, but then it had printed as DTF. Some people cannot tell the difference. Exactly.
Perfect. And you know what? Artwork can mean, as we just saw with the Stahl's thing, artwork, the way it's generated and how it's done with anything, whether it's screen printed, whether it's DTF, whether it's DTG, artwork is so important. Dan Campbell would agree with that.
Here's the great thing: says break up the art. It gives so much for flexibility, similar to designing for screen print, puff, or HD special effects. We don't normally want mega large chunks of solid areas. Same concept for DTF. Many people are getting soft DTF prints. They're using 35-line halftone with a choke for that large white dot for use, but not so much for the customer. Great.
Perfect.
Gray says DTF are more using UV for other stuff. Good. And John says, I used to work with MEK a lot, and I get it. We work with dangerous stuff if not using proper protections. Thanks for the answers. You're welcome.
You know what? As someone who works in chemical, we miss MEK, methyl alpha ketone, which, by saying that, I probably have a tumor now developing.
So we got to wrap up here. We're about out of time. And before we go, I do want to talk about Shirt Lab Nashville. So Dan Campbell's on here. He's one of our master instructors. The other is JJ McCampbell. And this is going to be in August 9th and 10th in Nashville. And we're limiting this to 36 students. We have, a dozen or so seats left, right? So get signed up before you can't get in, okay? And this is a deal where you're going to need to bring your own laptop with Photoshop on it, because we're going to be walking you through how to do things, right? So you're going to learn how to do art department workflow, how to get more first-time art approvals, how to incorporate AI, especially Midjourney. That's my jam, right? Some prompt strategies for Midjourney, but the big most of the day is going to be how to do spot color separations in Photoshop, simulated process stuff, and really how to get this going. Both Dan and JJ are masters at that. I'm teaching, Dan's teaching, JJ's teaching. Between the three of us, we've got almost 100 years in the industry, right? It's going to be a fantastic thing. It's in Nashville, which is a really super fun city. We're sneaking up on our networking event that Stahl's is sponsoring. We're still doing our rock, paper, scissors tournament. So anybody who participates, you could win a Vision IQ hat press, which is an amazing piece of machinery. And we've got a hotel block. Here's all the information for our instructors, right? And including links and stuff so you can check them out. Right now, until July the 12th, we've got our early bird. Get signed up, save $100. If you're in Shirt Lab Tribe, go to the Facebook group. You get a bigger discount. But shirtlablive.com/earlybird. Get signed up. This is going to be a great event, and we would love to see you there. So, anyway, that's
we were talking about Deco Network. Gray, I know you're in the Philippines to reach them. Right there's the.
Yes, thanks.
So, yep, I looked that up while you were doing that. So, contact them. They're worldwide. They're out of Australia. I think that would be a good place to start our recommendation.
Good.
Tell them you heard it from here.
Yeah, right. All right, Alan, you got plans this weekend? What are you doing?
I don't make plans for the weekend. I really don't. You know what? Here's what I think I'm going to do. Last weekend, I went and bought tires and stuff like that. I'm not doing anything this weekend. It is not real hot now here. It's in the 70s. I think I am going to go to the store. I'm going to buy some stuff. I'm going to barbecue. I think I'm going to sit outside, build a little fire in the fire pit that I just got. I haven't used.
Great.
I think I'm going to relax a little bit.
Make some s'mores.
I'm not a s'mores guy. I don't like marshmallow.
Oh.
So I love chocolate and graham crackers. I'll do just that, but I can eat one. I'll like if they're making, I'll eat one.
How are you gonna heat up the chocolate if you don't have a flaming marshmallow?
Well, you don't. You just eat them separate. So like that on there. But yeah, I'm not a s'mores guy on there. I don't despise marshmallow. It's just not my.
I hear you. I mean, I'm not going out of my way to eat a marshmallow, but if we're doing a campfire, I got s'mores going.
But then I always end up burning my tongue and fingers.
Well,
marshmallow gets on me and stuff.
Us professional s'more eaters, we don't have that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, all right, dude. Well, hey, thanks everyone watching. We really appreciate you.
Yep.
We will see you next week, July the 5th. Yes, we will be having a show. Right? We haven't talked about not having a show, so I guess we are.
You know what? I do want to give another shout out to Gray at Cran Labs. Man, thank you so much for just being a great host. I have not posted part of that. He's your guy. I've said that. You need sublimation done. They're killing it. Don't go to China. Just call him. Yeah. In fact, I need to give you, Marshall, your information because you had someone that does that. So, yeah.
Good. Yeah. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll check you later. Take care.
Have a great week and a great 4th.
That's right. Happy 4th of July.
Yep.